Too naughty or too nice? You decide. Featuring Santa Corky and Joe Lewis.
Too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too naughty, I'm too nice. Naughty, I'm too nice. I'm too nice.
I am very nice, but that doesn't mean I'm not incredibly naughty, if you know what I mean.
Welcome to the Too Naughty, Too Nice podcast. My name's Santa Corky and my co-host,
How's everybody
Joe
doing?
Lewis.
And I'm not going to count Linzy as a guest. I'm going to count Linzy as like a third co-host in this situation. So we have Linzy Taylor, influencer,
Weird.
actress, one of my favorite people on
I like the
the
way
planet. So let's
I
hop
love
right
you
into
guys.
it.
Happy to be here.
Wait, we missed something. Comedian.
I didn't actually.
Did
I
you say
just
comedian?
went actress,
She's comedian?
influencer, favorite person. I mean, it's a really long list. She's a comedian. She's a mother. She's amazing. What else do you do, Linzy? So let's just jump right into it. Yeah, you know, like
I'm amazing.
I like to use short words,
I like
and
that.
my short words for Linzy are amazing.
Well, let's
I love
bounce this
that.
right off. Actually, she's also an ex-wife, soon to be another ex-wife,
So much better coming from
Mhm.
Santa.
and still living.
I know.
And
I kind
still
of like the way
living
you led
all
into that.
together.
That was good.
And still hanging out, staying in the same place, raising kids, and being friends. So if that doesn't
Yeah.
make you want to hang on to this podcast and watch it till the very end, because we got a big secret at the very end that you got to hear about. Is that-
Interesting. Okay.
just
I have
say-
no
I
idea
just
what they're
said a
talking
hook.
about.
Yeah, I know. I just said that. Make it a hook.
Santa's
It's a
taking
hook.
YouTube
Okay.
courses now.
It's a hook. The hook is. I like this, Santa. I like it. I dig it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting divorced again. I'm friends with my exes. I think like if you can't live with your exes, that's cool. I'm very lucky. But yeah, that was kind of like in development for a long time, and I never really talked about it. And I never really talk about my personal life on social media in a serious way because it always has to be jokes. You know, like I always have to make light of a bad situation or hide it or show up and smile. And I made a video the other day and I just like went for it. And I was like, here's 6 minutes of no jokes and me just in my feelings. And it popped. And I was like, oh crap. Like, do
Now,
people
was
really
that about-
care?
was that
Like,
when you went
I
back
thought I
home?
just had to show up and
Okay.
yeah. It was after I filed for divorce, and it was after I made like a cute video of just like playing music, like filed for divorce today. And then so many people had questions. So I was like, well, maybe I should speak up for myself because I felt like that's one thing I was never doing. Like I never kind of spoke up for myself. My husband, or soon to be ex, is a great dude. He's an excellent father, but the husband department, it wasn't really good, and it hadn't been good. I actually wrote a song about it in 2018, and I was looking back through my emails, and I'm like, man, we filed for divorce 5 times
So
pre
I seen that
2020
when you posted it, and what does that look like? I wanted to ask you here just so we can have a raw conversation versus calling you. Like, what is that when you?
Yeah.
Can we go there? I just a second. And we always interrupt each other because that we're always stepping on each other, which is fine. That's okay. That's what
Step
we do.
on me.
But I want to know what got you there because you went home. You went back home, back.
Oh,
Come on,
oh, Santa. Some things.
that-
Some things.
Yeah. Ex-boyfriend,
No.
ex-girlfriend.
No, I'm not. So like I also came out as gay recently too, and I'm not gay, and I'm not
Let's
gay. I
check
think.
got
that
to start.
one, too.
But here I am, like giving it real, right? And I made the video about it too, and it's like I love women. I think I love women more than I love men. But I think what I was more upset about was
because of the men you've run into.
I think I know how to pick them, and a friend of mine
No.
back home kind of reminded me of that.
You
I
know,
sure know how to pick them.
Oh no, your picker's off.
I think I just fall in love with people who hurt me, and maybe I don't see red flags right away.
That's good.
I'm not really sure, but I know that I gave it my everything, and I know that, you know, I loved him unconditionally, and I just wasn't getting that back. And that hurts. It hurt to love him. But when
Yeah.
I went home, I will admit that I broke open in a lot of ways. But
Why? What happened?
Santa
Why
is
did you
on
break
these
open?
questions. Lindsay, Santa misses you. I can't even think to ask you questions because he's just like he is going for jugulars. We're 9 minutes into it.
I feel like I can't breathe right now. No, it's home, first of all, right? And we left home to move out here to Arizona just in case we ever needed to quarantine again, to have our own private oasis, because we already did the quarantine thing when my son got sick. I left everything behind. Family, friends, you name it, I left it. And I lost my mom not too long before we left. And I think I never really grieved her death. And going back there, I went to this church where I had left some of her ashes, and I just broke down, and I sat there and I cried, and I hadn't been able to cry like that in a long time. And then I went to a New Year's Eve party with a bunch of friends of mine from back in the day. We all used to work in this bar called Tammany Hall. It was a live music club. It was a really happening place. I slept there. I lived there. I worked there. I started off as the bouncer. I worked my way up to a bar back, became a bartender, a bar manager, and then eventually I had keys. Like I literally ate, slept, breathed, whatever. It all. Anyways, that place meant so much to me and the people in it. And I actually got to go back in there too. And the bones of that room are still there. The music is still in the walls. Like the spirit is still there. And I'm very much a spiritual person. And that broke me open even more because I felt like I walked in and I was curious and I'm looking around and I'm seeing what they're doing with the place. And then all of a sudden, like 7 years of memories hit me like a ton of bricks. And I started remembering who I was before I was a mother, who I was before I gave up singing, before I gave up acting, before I gave up my life and put everything on hold. And there was a lot of emotion there. And then I ended up just unplugging and I took a break when I was home and I didn't work and I didn't edit and I didn't really sit on my phone and I took a break, took a much needed long break. And I think in that silence, I found me again.
What were you reminded of in regards to
maybe it was
what's the change in the woman in terms of who you are now, who you were, and then what you're trying to get yourself to either become again?
I think freedom has a lot to do with it. Just being free to be myself. I feel like with my husband, I have changed myself to make myself more tolerable or more palatable for him. I think that I had to stop being so loud, so obnoxious. There's so many things about my personality that he voiced that he didn't like. And when I was in that room, it was like, oh my God, I remember who I was. I was so full of life, so full of love, always singing, always dancing, always happy. I felt free back then. And I think I just, I missed that part of myself that felt.
So how do
free
you
to
become
be
free
herself.
again? I mean, like, because I found freedom in divorce with no kids because I had no kids. So it's very easy to just like, done. But when there's kids in the mix, how do you find freedom? I'm sure there are a lot of parents and people out there that when they have their kid, and this has nothing to do with their kid, but your freedom goes away. You're now responsible for a kid. I watched my mom. She was
100%.
out of high school, one of the 13th best. She was a 13th ranked actress in the nation, and one of those competitions you do in high school where you like act or whatever it's called, something science. And she goes to college on a scholarship for acting. It's all looking promising, pregnant, and now she has a family. And she tried to keep it, but then this life happens, and do you chase dreams or do you take care of what's right in front of you and what you've created as a responsibility? So, and I'm seeing her now. She's 56, and she's grabbing her freedom back. Her kids are out the house now. She's starting her own store. She's starting to, like, it's funny as my parents get older, I'm seeing them for them versus like, their parenting. So I'm seeing my parents gain back freedom. How do you gain that freedom with, you have young kids, so what does that look like for you?
Oh, it's really, really freaking hard. I think it comes with traveling, right? I thank God for my job. I've been able to work on social media and take myself around to LA and to Boston. And I'm so lucky because I live with my children's fathers, kids' dads. Nobody else has that luxury of living with their ex-husbands. You know what I mean? Like that's huge. And my ex-husband, as I'm still married, so my ex-husband and my husband, we're going through the divorce. So just for ease of conversation, my ex-husband has always been my best friend. And he supports everything that I do. And he saw me singing once, and I had told him that like an ex-boyfriend of mine told me not to sing. So the first Christmas we had together, he bought me a microphone. And he was like, here's your SM 58 or whatever it is. And he's like, you need to sing. And that made me feel so good. So like just having that sort of support from him and always being encouraged by him is so wonderful, because he'll sit here with the kids and be like, go have fun. And in turn, I got to find a way to make him have fun too, because he's lonely. He's sad. He needs to get out too. And then with my husband, Mike, he is also very supportive of my dreams. So that's the one great thing that I have with these guys, is that they want to see me writing through. They want to see me, on stages, singing, acting, making people laugh, whatever that looks like. They don't want me to be miserable, which I'm so lucky. But it's very difficult to be gone from the kids at the same time. So you feel this push and pull, because my kids are not older and they're not too young. They're like in this middle age, like they're 8 and 11. Yeah. And, and they see mom gone a lot. Right. And they're like, my daughter said to me, I don't like it when you're gone, and I don't like when you're on planes. And I'm like, well, when I'm here, you don't even hang out with me. So is it that you don't want me on the plane, or is it that you don't want me gone? And she goes, both. And I'm like, okay, why don't you come in for a snuggle? And when I'm here, I try to make the most of it. And like right now, I don't have any plans to leave again. And I knew December was going to be really busy. And it was really busy. I think I traveled like 4 or 5 times. But I think in the future, I'd like to move home. I think that's one thing that would be really important to me. And we've been talking about it, and Massachusetts is home for me. Connecticut is home for me. So whatever. But my husband has his 2 adult children there, and someday, they might have kids, and he doesn't want to miss out on that. And my ex-husband loves it here, but at the same time doesn't want all of us to be miserable and wants us to stay intact in this blended family unit. So we're all trying to compromise and do what's right for the kids, but also for ourselves, so that we don't lose ourselves. Cause I think I was losing myself for a while.
Wow.
There.
So what do you think that the process is going to be like? So with your first husband, you guys got a divorce, and in our conversations, it came across as that was the best thing, and that there wasn't really a hit, and that things got better in the relationship, and because you guys got to become friends. So what do you expect to happen with your husband as he becomes the next ex-husband? And, like, what do you think those dynamics are going to be like? What is it going to be like given that you guys are in the house? Like, what do you think you're expecting from him?
With him, it's a little bit more difficult. Just being candid, I feel like I loved him so much, and I wanted love from him so badly, and I just wasn't getting it. Whereas with my ex-husband, it was more like I was the one who kind of fell out of love, and I broke his heart by saying I just, wasn't feeling things, and I felt like we were roommates, and I felt like we were just friends raising our kids together. But because I was so honest and open with him, I think we had that, we had a great foundation for a beautiful friendship. And, I never want to be without him ever in my life. I know he is like forever my roommate. He's stuck with me. With Michael, I would hope that we have the same sort of friendship. And one of the first things I asked him after I filed for divorce was, can you come with me to accept, he had to sign an acceptance of the papers that I filed. So he did that. And then afterwards I asked him, I was like, do you think you can be nice to me now?
Wow. Yeah.
Like, do you think that we can be friends now? Because there were nights where I would cry myself to sleep, just wondering why he couldn't be nice to me. Like, it was just really hard. And he's not abusive and he wasn't terribly mean. It was just emotionally like
Wasn't what you
neglectful, I
needed.
guess is fair to say.
And what you were asking for.
There wasn't anything. Like there were times where he would say things like, "I'm sorry, but I'm not available to you right now emotionally." Like I can, like, and he has trouble communicating, and I understand that, and he has trouble with empathy and compassion, and he thinks he's autistic, and I can see that, and I don't want to talk poorly about him because I think that there is reasons for why he is the way he is. I don't think he means to be mean. But we were just talking this morning and yesterday, and we keep having these conversations, and he's apologizing now. And I'm like, why is it at the end? Like when it's too late, why do you want to apologize now? And
because we make changes out of desperation or inspiration
or pressure,
and that's why.
Yeah, and he said, like, if I saw you with somebody else, I think it would upset me. And I was like, wow, that's kind of shocking, because for so long I felt like you didn't care about me at all. And I'm like, but at the end of the day, I have to do what's right for me in my heart. And I know that you, in the next 60 days where we wait to get divorced, I just don't see you giving me the love that I have been asking for 7 years. You had so many chances to do that. And it's just not, I can't do it anymore. I just can't. I can't keep myself in that place of wondering if I'll ever get the love that I need. And I also can't focus on creative things when I'm worried about trying to make him happy by dumbing myself down and like also trying to like not piss him off and still be creative and still sad. And it's a really weird feeling. So when you're in the same house, it's like those feelings just don't go away. It's like the energy goes upstairs, but you could still feel it, the tension, and now there's no tension. Like now I feel strong. I feel clear. I feel able to have these conversations, and I feel, like, I just feel like I'm no longer seeking that from him. And I think that's the big change. I hope that we can be friends. As of right now, everything is good. I just don't know what the future looks like. But one of the things that he had a hard time adjusting with was this blended family and being blended in the blended family. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's tough to hear, because that's kind of what you jumped into. And that's why we do this, is to blend for the kids. But he wants to continue to do that. So I'm getting conflicting messages. It's like he wants to do that and he wants it to work out for the kids. But I think there's a part of him that finds it really difficult, and that's okay. And that's his truth, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to hear.
It's interesting, like that kind of push and pull that he's probably feeling, because the father in him is probably like, hey, this is what you need to do. But men have egos. I mean, everybody has an ego, but the ego of men is pretty, there's no explanation to it sometimes. And a lot of times when, when there's too much of an energy, so there might be too much masculine energy in your house and not enough feminine energy to offset it. So he's like, yo, like there's just another man in the house, as a, and
that would make
sense. I mean, like if we think like very primal and just basic, as a man, when there's another man in your territory, you have to, you got to figure something out, and you have to kill the ego to make that work. Because if not, your ego's gonna always say, "Hey, dude's in your area, bro. He's sitting on your couch, And I don't even think I could do that, But there is an ego shed that I believe would have to happen to really be okay with something like that.
I don't think he was ever okay with it. I think, he's the one that had the hardest time with the adjustment, and he's the one who had the hardest time living in another man's house with a woman who used to be with the other man.
That's
you know what
ego.
I mean? Like that's always been running through his mind, I think. Yeah. And he's like big alpha, super masculine, you know what I mean? And Chris is not. Chris is very much more feminine and very more, relaxed and submissive. And he's more of like we call him Alice. Like if this is the Brady Bunch, he's like the Alice in the house. But he's great. He's so great. It wouldn't work if he wasn't so open. So luckily they get along. Luckily there's been no jealousy or anything like that. They've never never
It has nothing
fought.
to do with your ex-husband as a person, and it's everything with the concept of, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yes. Yeah, and he hasn't been able to wrap his mind around that. And you know what? That sucks for me to hear, because I'm like, why didn't you tell me that 6 years ago? And obviously it's probably because we have a child together, and he's said before that if we didn't have our little guy, that he probably wouldn't have stuck around. And
Did you get
that
married and
hurts
then
too.
have the child, or did you have the child and then get married?
We were together for about a year, and we got married when I was pregnant about 3 months before we had him. So, but yeah, just those things that you hear, like hearing that he wouldn't have stuck around for years. You have a child together, like that hurts over the years when you hear that. As I would always try to get to the root of the problem with him. Like, what can I do to make this better for you? What is going on? What bothers you? Like, is it me? Do you hate me? Do you like me? Yes, you love me, but do you like me? And the answer I would get would be sometimes. And he meant that. And that hurts. And these are the things that I never, I'm not going to make videos about that. Here we are, this is fine. But like, I wouldn't sit there and make constant videos about me feeling less than, it's not fun. It doesn't feel good.
If you could go back to your 20-year-old self, what would you have done?
Oh my God.
What would you tell yourself?
I always say,
you're sitting down with your 20-year-old self. Talk to her.
Ooh, I always say I have no regrets and everything happens for a reason. But I think I would tell her that love's not supposed to hurt. Period. And the end. And if it does hurt, get out. Don't try to make, something out of nothing. You can't get water from a stone.
I like that.
There's no sense in talking to a brick wall. All those things. I'm writing a lot of songs
so you got all the analogies going. I see where we're going. I got you. Yeah. Like, wow, what book is she reading? You're writing it. I got you.
Yeah. I'm writing a lot. And that's something I wasn't doing. So
do you think some of that is responsible that you had with your relationship with your dad?
Maybe because my stepfather became my father legally by adoption. He chose to adopt me. So I thought, this is great. He wants to be my dad. He loves my mom. He loves me. And I watched him mentally abuse my mom. And I'm writing a book about my life. And I had to sit him down a few years ago. And I'm like, Dad, if I write this book, because he's a changed man now. And if I write this book, Dad, like, it's going to hurt because you were not a good man. You were not nice. Like, there was a lot of pain. And he said, sweetheart, it's your truth. It's your book. Write your book. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Why is he a changed man? How's he changed? You say he's a changed man. What if he went from not a good guy?
My father, I watched him lose his son when I was 18. My brother, he died in a car accident when he was 19 years old. And I think that was an insurmountable amount of pain that I had to witness. Like, watching my dad go through that was just the hardest thing ever. And I had my own feelings, my own pain, but for some reason watching him go through that it was gut wrenching. And I remember, and that was another thing about going home. I went to the crash site near the Worcester airport where my brother died. And all of a sudden, all these memories came back. All of the memories, not just one or two.
What memories? What? Tell us about what was it like to lose your brother?
I was at a concert and I came home. I think I went to go see Rusted Root with my abusive ex-husband, my first ex-husband. And I came home and my mom looked at me and she said, Robert died. And I'm like, what? It was initial shock. And me and my cousins, my sister, brother, my father, we all drove to this hospital because my dad and his ex-wife, my brother's mom, they had to identify the body. And that whole night came back. And just sitting and waiting and being with my cousins, my brother and my sister. And it was really, really, really hard to go through. My brother was so full of love and so full of light, and he wanted to be a police officer, and he was going to Worcester State College for criminal justice, and he
You
was
guys
such
were
a good
close.
kid. He was an
You
Eagle
guys were close.
Scout. We were close. We saw him like every other weekend, sometimes more. But he was always really nice to me, because I have a tumultuous relationship with my my sister and my older brother. So it was tough for me to lose my brother that I was close to. He was like Jim Carrey. He was so always on. He was so funny. So that was really tough. And the birthday card that I got that year, I have this book somewhere that has all these newspaper clippings and this card, and it said like, hey, you're 18 now, you can do all these crazy things that you couldn't do before. Like, you know, you can go buy lottery tickets, you can go to the strip club, you can do all this stuff, unless of course you don't live to see 19.
Ooh.
And then he died a month
Ooh.
later, or 3 weeks later. And I was just like,
Wow. Yeah.
wow. Like that, it took so much out of me. And I actually, I tried to kill myself after that, a few weeks later or months. I don't really know how long the time frame was. But I swallowed half a bottle of sleeping pills and was in the kitchen, and I made some stupid choices with silverware, and it was messy, and I'd never really gotten that dark or that. But I was also in this abusive marriage, physically abusive. It was nasty. And I didn't know how to get out. I didn't know how to. My job was my escape. My home was hard. My mom, I was losing her mentally. I just felt like I was so lost, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm out." You know. And that was the moment where I was just like, I don't need to do this anymore. There's nothing here for me other than my daughter, and I'm like, she'll be fine with my mom. It was such a weird moment to be trapped inside of, and all I can remember is like fishing the bottle out of the cabinet and like pouring them in my hands. And I remember eating them, chewing them, swallowing them. And then the next memory that I have is waking up to my dad standing over me. And he says to me, do you have any idea how fucking selfish you are?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't mean to put you through that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also going through stuff too, you know? So I'll, you know, I never tried that again.
Thank God that's one of the things you're not good at. Let's keep with this conversation. There are, like, you know, I'm sure this is probably where Santa was about to go, but mental health is, I think, I'm glad that we're in an age where mental health is being taken more serious, but I think that we're talking about suicide enough, but we aren't talking about the other side of suicide. So we don't hear a lot of conversations of, I had a failed attempt. What was that? So how did you get yourself together back after? Like, that's a whole shock too, in terms of you had to grasp that you actually tried to do that to yourself. And then, you know, you're here now where you're at.
I
so
did.
What was that entire process like in terms of, hey, I tried it? Because there's somebody that's probably going to watch this who's thinking about it. So go ahead and tell them what that process is going to be like so that they don't do it, you know, and how they can skip that trying step to just get.
First of all, I've never talked about this on social media, so I'm surprised I did. Surprised I went there. But I think it's important to talk about it, because I think that when we don't talk about stuff, that's when we get lost inside of our heads. And I think that's when we make choices that, you know, can change our whole entire trajectory of our lives. After I did that, my stomach was pumped. So I was like puking charcoal on the floor, and I was mad at the nurse, and she kept trying to hand me a bucket, and I was so mad. I was like yakking over the bucket. And I'm like, I was arrogant in that moment. Like, I was mad that I didn't win. Yeah. I was mad that I didn't die. I was upset that I didn't, you know, eat enough pills or cut my arm enough. I was just, you know, I was mad. So they ended up putting me into an evaluative process, where like I had to go upstairs for a week and talk about my feelings. And I was like, you know, stuck in a little room where I couldn't even shave my legs. Like, you know, you couldn't have any razors. I think the only thing I was allowed to do is like go outside and like have a cigarette back then, you know, it was where they like held the lighter for you. And they forced you into like these group meetings, and I felt like I got nothing from that. So I think I want to just say that the most important thing is the aftercare, right? It's after the evaluation. Let's say 3 months later. Let's say, like, how are you going to get through months later when you realize, hey, my life is worth something, and I want to be here, and I don't want to ever be that sad, lonely, or just numb again. I don't want to feel numb again. I think for me, I was very lucky because I've always been a very optimistic person who loves life so much. And I think there's so much to live for. And for me, I had a daughter. So it was really easy for me to look at her and say, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I mean, you got to focus on something. But I also had this newfound love for myself. And I started caring about myself more, and I started caring less about how others viewed me or what others thought or what other people were doing. I became really selfish.
So what can you tell a person who, so a lot of times there's a lot of darkness, a lot of loneliness that would drive somebody to want to harm themselves. How do you, I haven't been there, because it's very easy to say, oh, go talk to somebody, you go do whatever, like it's very easy to say all of these suggestions, which probably never work, because if they did, it would work for people when they tried it. So as somebody who's survived these situations, how can you, what advice would you give to somebody? How does somebody start to love themselves? How does somebody start to bring their own light to their own darkness? You've done it, you're out on the other side, you're thriving, but it's not easy. And how do you change the selfishness?
It's not
Dad said
easy.
Don't be selfish because you try to take your own life, but then your solution was be selfish so that I can have a life. So what's that balance like? How did you figure out how to not be selfish and still be selfish? Like the right type of selfish.
I think the right type of selfish. I like that. I think it came from going to these group therapy sessions and seeing these other people that, in my opinion, needed to be there. They needed to be in that group therapy setting. They were getting something out of it, and I wasn't. So in my outpatient therapy, I just wanted to get the hell out of there. I was like, I want to shave my legs. I want to see my kid. I want to go to the bar. I just wanted to get back to having fun. I was like, if I'm not dying, then I want to live. I want to fucking live. Sorry, excuse me. So for me, that selfishness came in through outpatient therapy when I was going through, they try to put you on pills, right? They're like, take this, take this, take this. My advice would be, only you know how you feel inside. There's no doctor. There's no group therapist. There's no grief counselor that can tell you how you feel inside. Sometimes I would sit with these people and I would think, this isn't for me. This is not helpful. This is not good for me. Self-reflection, being alone, respecting myself, doing things I loved, writing songs. I bought a guitar shortly after that. I started doing the things that I dreamed of. So I started making my dreams a reality. I didn't even realize I put that together. Yeah, I bought my guitar when I was 19. So, I think I threw myself into a creative outlet. And I think I would tell people the distraction of finding something that makes you happy in life sometimes can be good enough. And it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to think that your life is more important than anybody else's. It's okay to feel that way. And it's okay to prioritize yourself.
Wow. What would, so we've all been divorced here. So let's go back to the family. You are, so I asked Santa this, and he's Santa. He's just always jolly and happy and full of love. So I'm like, bro, how did you get married a third time? I'm struggling even holding a conversation with women after my divorce. After 2 conversations, I'm no, not gonna work. And you are, it doesn't sound as if you're through with people. So you're going to be going on to your 4th person when you find them. What makes you even care to keep doing that process? I'm trial and error. So if it didn't work the first time and I tried 2 more times, it doesn't work. History's telling me to set my methods aside, but I know that matters of the heart don't operate in patterns or behaviors. So what is it about love that makes you say, I'm going to try this again? Or maybe let's try it again, just not with men. What makes you still want to give yourself to people?
Yeah. First of all, I don't think I'll ever get married again. I think like 3 times, like 3 strikes, you're out, right? Like I think I'm good. Plus, like I'm stepping into this moment where I feel like, wow, I'm trying to take care of myself, take care of my family. You know, I'm making my own money. I'm not dependent on anyone else for income. That's new, right? I was always a broke ass bitch, always. So it was very easy for me to be codependent. And I'm trying to work on that, but I'm a hopeless romantic, Joe. I think I love, you know what I mean? And I love connections. And I'm one of those people who I think that there are multiple soulmates for people out there. I don't think it's just one person for one person and that's it. And that's the end. I think that it's all about timing. It's all about, you know, the right energy, the right chemistry. And I don't like being alone, but I also don't like being in this moment. I don't want to be responsible for somebody else's happiness just because I want to be selfish.
I do not want to make you smile. You can do that shit yourself.
Can I say that? Like,
I don't
is
think
that
so.
bad to say? Like, I don't know. Like, but like, you know, we're humans, we're human beings. We have primal instincts, and a lot of those sometimes are not to be alone. You know, I think I love energy. I love intellectual chemistry. If I can have a good conversation with somebody and if my mind is stimulated, I'm interested, you know? And it's like, I don't want to let that go. Like that's always been a very big part of me. I connect with people well. And I think I do better when I'm around others. I think when I'm alone, it's beautiful and self-reflection is great, but that only can last so long before I want someone to freaking hold me and tell me I'm beautiful, and I want to feel happy. And, you know, and I also like to, I think I'm like a natural born caretaker. So, I think I've always been, maybe that's my problem.
But it's
looking for someone to take care of, something to fix. I don't know. Like if somebody needs help, it's like, but I think in the future, I'm going to be very mindful about that and make sure that there's not too much to
There's
fix.
A quick fixer upper, nothing too long.
I think, yeah.
I
need
can
some
do that
hugs.
for you.
Need some
I got
chicken.
hugs and chicken for you.
I can do that. Yeah. I got hugs and chicken.
Well, obviously, one thing that I've known in my journey is that a broken person can't fix a broken person.
This is true. And I don't think I'm broken. I've had a lot of discussions with like people who think that I'm like going through midlife crisis, or they think I'm like crazy right now. I'm like, I can't tell you how that was so 6 years ago that I was going like I am coming out of the cocoon
most level
right now. Like I am this is the most mentally clear I have felt in years. And I am maybe there's a part of me that has, you know, broken pieces, but I don't feel like a broken person, if that makes sense. I think my heart is a little sensitive right now. And I think that I know what I don't want to feel in the future. And I know that like, if I saw my husband tomorrow with someone and he was giving them all the love that he wouldn't be able to give me, I would probably be crying because I would be like, why couldn't you give that to me though? But on the flip side of that, I feel like I'm stepping out of that, you know, that lock and key of feeling like I need to receive that from him. And I think that is something that made me broken in a way. So I feel like I'm stronger and more confident stepping out of that.
What would you tell your kids about your life? What do you tell your kids? What do your kids think about you being on the internet? You know, they have an internet mom. So what do they think about that? The internet has a lot to say. Let's pivot. You know, we've kept things all emotional and sad and really raw for the last 44 minutes. And it's Santa's fault. I like to do the cute things first. Santa, he was punching you right away. It came, he wanted to hear drama. Everything.
Second, Joe, please. The thing is, we can make this really clinical, or we could get into some feelings.
We can make this really clinical.
And we're, you know, that's up to you. We got into feelings, but if we don't get into feelings and get some recovery through those feelings, It just stays clinical.
Yeah.
And then there's no answer. Then there's no answer.
I feel good though. I don't know. Like I don't know how to express that. Like I think what I'm doing is what I need to be doing, and that's what's making me feel better and stronger.
Right.
I think that it's not going to be easy, and I think that it still hurts, and it's going to hurt.
Oh, your almost ex-husband has hurt you so bad that it's okay for you to feel like this now.
I feel bad. I almost feel bad when you say that,
well,
because I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, he hurt me so bad. Well, because I've been hurt worse, because I've been through worse, because I've suffered worse, and I don't want to put him on that shelf with the jerks. Else.
We're talking about your present husband. We're talking about your present husband. We're talking about that human being, not the past one. That's already done on, but we're talking about this one.
Yeah.
And because I know how many mistakes I made and the damage I did to people because of my stupid ass decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And until I quit doing that, nothing changed. And believe me, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And until we can get past the root of what's going on in there, it's going to happen again. I promise you. I promise you. I dedicated to this wife. That my life is dedicated to make you as happy as I can.
Look, Corky.
Because I know how much I hurt people out there.
Yeah.
I know how much I hurt people because of my selfish self-centeredness.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted this. I wanted this. I wanted that. And I just started gathering these people around me and I destroyed them. Absolutely destroyed them. And I quit making decisions. Before I make a decision today, I'm going, is this going to uplift or hurt somebody? Or is this going to rise somebody up? Or is it going to hurt them? Now, I have all the great intentions in the world, but it's usually based around my selfish, self-centered intentions. Always. And when I soon to get out of myself and start looking at that other precious person, I destroyed somebody one time because I made some terrible choices, horrible, selfish choices. That's the reason I think about your almost ex-husband, because then I go back to my ex-wife and she was knelt over sitting on an ottoman. I'll never forget this. And the decisions that I made took a beautiful rose and crushed it into a wilted, dry flower. And I looked at her and I had tears in my eyes when I said, what did you do? What did you do that you would cause that kind of hurt and pain on somebody? I'm not saying you did this to your ex-husband or almost ex-husband. Not saying you did that. But I'm very sensitive when we start talking about me, I, when you made a commitment. You made a commitment to this person.
Mm-hmm.
And when does that stop? It's when you realize in your life that your actions are, let's see, how can I put this? When you realize that your actions can actually hurt somebody else and get out of my own feelings. And I made a vow to myself from that moment on, I would never do that to another human being. Ever. Ever. Ever.
Yeah.
And that absolutely turned my life around, and it helps me be the Santa that I am today. And because I'm very conscious of what my decisions and what choices I make. Now, I haven't been perfect at it, but I've been a lot better, 99.9% better. But that's a hard shift until you've been hurt so bad that you know what that flower felt like at that moment. And that might happen to you. I would say you won't get the lesson until that happens to you.
Until
you get destroyed. Because it happened.
Yeah,
I think I'm done
I think she might have learned that lesson too many times.
3 times. Yeah,
but
I think
those
I'm
were all
good.
your choices.
Like
every time you make a move, it's your choice, not the other person's choice.
Yeah, but I think that, man, I wish he could have these revelations where he could say, man, I see what I'm doing, and I need to stop, and I need to change, and I could be better.
What
and
about
I could do
the
better.
ex-husband?
What about my ex-husband?
How did that come about? Did he say, Lindsay, I'm sorry, this isn't working, I'm not happy?
No, my ex-husband was the one relationship probably that I could say was my best. He
right,
treated
but you
me.
made the choice to divorce him.
I did, yes.
Yeah, okay, that's your choice.
Yes.
Okay, that's twice. Now, what happened to the one before that? Whose choice?
Oh, no, mine. I left 100%.
So that's three. That's three.
Yeah.
Okay. I see a pattern here.
Yeah, I love men who hurt me, and then I leave them.
No, maybe you need to work on how to love yourself so much. Maybe I mean, that's an easy thing to say, to where
I think I'm good with me. I think what I don't see is, like, when I fell in love with my first husband, I was young. I was 18. But what I didn't see was the dark side, right? There were no red flags. I think I'm ignorant to red flags because I see love. I see happily ever after. And then, months go by, and
you said it earlier.
Hopeless romantic.
I'm a love.
Hopeless romantic.
Hopeless romantic. Yeah.
It's love.
So I don't see the red flags. I love. And I think with my first husband, I was willing to ignore being abused and stuff because I had never dealt with that. So I was like, I can deal with this. This is fine behind closed doors. But it was really dark. It was really bad. I think if I didn't leave him, that could have been like a detrimental situation. But with my ex-husband, the one that I live with here, that was different. Because he was good. He was a good person. It was not bad. It was never bad. But it became more like a roommate situation. Like I just wasn't in love as much as I was with these other men that were toxic to me. It's like I have this issue where I love jerks. I don't know why that is. I don't know why it happens, but it happened to me 3 times, and
that's
here I am.
what I'm saying, Lindsay. That's what I'm saying. You see a pattern.
I just wanted to pull my ex-husband out of that, because he was a good dude. He's not one of the,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why I do it. And I don't.
That's why I told myself this go around that I wasn't going to pick that person. I'm not picking that person. I'm not looking for anyone. I'm not picking that person. God, you have to. You have to.
Yeah.
Because I was picking hot rods. I wasn't picking the right person. And
I thought everything was perfect, in the beginning when everything's beautiful and when it's, you got twinkles in your eyes and conversations all night long and everything feels right and everything feels good. It's like, why not jump in? Why not be all in? Like, why not just try to...
I think that I didn't let myself get infatuated this time.
And it's funny that you say that, Sandra.
How did you?
Because I was just going to say that I think,
that?
Sandra, you're not going to get the answers that you're looking for from Lindsay because she's so passionate. So what you're looking at Lindsay's behaviors as, you divorced 3 times. She's passionate, and then she got out the problem.
Well,
but I don't think that. So Lindsay, she's passionate, and then she gets in there, and then she's like, "Hey, this is wrong," and then she gets out. She can't take away the passion as to where on your last go around, you took away that kind of first layer of infatuation and passion. So you were a lot more logical and of the heart versus with your eyes.
Because I'm not a 16-year-old kid looking at girls anymore. And
I think that's how I was with my ex, because I wasn't obsessed or infatuated. Like it was more just love, and we had 2 beautiful children together, and I didn't feel that.
Well, that fire will get you, man.
That
fire will consume you.
It does,
man.
And it messes you.
If you
100%.
understand where the fire is coming from,
I like that
there's
one
a
too.
difference.
Where is the fire at?
You have to understand where the fire is coming from.
Yeah, but
You
how
gotta
do you
start touching them on
know?
the
How do
body
you
and see where it's hot
know?
at. You can start copping feels.
The first thing you do is don't touch any bodies. If you don't touch any bodies, you're in good shape. You think I'm being real with you now? I'm
Oh
being
no,
real.
no, I follow. You know,
Don't touch. That's your
when
biggest
Mike and
mistake.
I first got
For a
together,
20-something-year-old, that's
Yeah.
difficult to do.
Okay.
it is
Yeah, I
difficult.
touch myself.
But
That's
when
difficult
my
for
when
you.
my
What?
when my husband and I first got together, we spent like so many nights just sitting next to each other. There was one night where I was in his truck and we were sitting on the bed of his truck staring at the moon for like
No, you're
4
talking about
hours.
you're almost
My
your
current
your
husband,
husband.
yes.
Okay.
We were sitting on the bed of his truck and we were staring at the moon for 4 hours. No touching, no kissing, nothing. Just staring at the moon. And I was quiet. Me. I had no words. I had nothing to say. And I was like, wow, with this man, I am different. Like I don't need to fill the air. My anxiety was gone. I was like, wow, this is different. This is different than anything I've ever felt before. So I thought,
you thought that the difference
okay,
was good.
well, maybe this,
Yeah.
yeah, because I never had that before. And you know, he's a very reserved, very quiet person, and I am not. So that difference felt interesting. Plus, like we were hanging out for weeks and weeks and weeks before he even kissed me, and I was like, wow, like what a good dude. Like there's not many guys out there like that. You know, I think I was the one that was like, is this going to go anywhere, or are we just looking at the moon? Like what's going on? So I think because it was so different, I thought, okay, well maybe this is the different that I've been waiting for. Maybe this is right. Right? Maybe this is that chemistry and energy change
that reminds me of something before I've been married 10 years. This June will be 10 years this go around. But I remember really learning about what's attractive to a woman. And I come up with the 3 C's.
Okay.
And I come up with, let's see if I can remember them. But is a little bit cocky.
I knew cock was in there.
Little cock.
I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Gotta have one, gotta be it, you know?
Let me think. A little bit confident, be very confident. Okay. But the one that really works, that puts the icing on the cake for ladies.
I thought the cockiness put the icing on the cake.
About this, because no one's ever been able to argue this with me. Men,
compassion.
No, not even close.
Right?
Wishful thinking.
No. When I say that, you can go, as a woman, see, I don't get it. As a woman, I don't get it. But women will, I think. I've never had anyone to go, oh, no. I've had them go, huh. And it like stirred up something they didn't even know about themselves.
What's the C word? What's the last one? What is it?
What is it?
Is it Christmas? I swear if you say Christmas. Yeah, if you say Christmas, Santa, I'm going to be so upset.
I'm walking home.
Now, do you remember the first two? You remember the first two?
Cocky and confidence, yeah.
Yeah. The third one, are you ready?
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
A bit of a challenge.
Oh, a challenge.
See,
yeah, we like
look
that.
at the whole thing.
Yeah. Wow.
That's yes. Did you see that? That's the first time I've ever had that on video, but I have brought that up.
Yeah, we like the chase. We like the challenge. Yeah.
We're sitting there before you were married. You went, aha! All these lights were going off. It's because of the challenge part. That tipped you over, young lady. That tipped you over.
Mm-hmm.
And most men do not have that within them. because they'll the next day after a date, they're on the phone, they're texting them, they're doing all this. Well, I didn't do that. I didn't get a hold of my wife a week after our
Santa's
first
playing
date.
a long
I
game.
never.
Ooh, and we
Never
like that. We
did.
like the chase,
And you
right?
know
We're
what
like,
happened?
should I text him? Should I not
No,
text him? Maybe what is it? Am I going to hear from him again? Oh,
no,
shoot!
Lindsay. She was falling in love with me without
Of
me doing it.
course.
She was doing it herself. She was making up the stories in her own mind.
Mm-hmm.
She was falling in love with me. I didn't even need to do a thing.
A challenge.
Oh, Santa. What a charmer. I like it. It's true though. It's true. Because if it's too easy, I mean, like, I don't want to.
Flowers, calling. How come you don't call me?
I don't like flowers. I do not like flowers. I don't want anybody to give me flowers.
I watch it all the time. I see it in my kids. I've watched my daughters with guys and these guys, and the next thing you know, they're running them off. The girls are running them off.
I'll say that every woman I bought flowers for, they're gone. So now the ones I don't buy flowers for, they stay around. I don't know why. I didn't buy them flowers, but
I have to tell men I do not like flowers. Don't buy me flowers. Like it does. You don't have to spend money on me to make me happy.
What if the man likes to buy?
Literally,
so I love giving women flowers. So you have to get them. Yeah. I don't even care.
Because
flowers die, Joe.
Yeah, but in the process is like there's some flowers, you know, like I don't know. I genuinely love giving women flowers.
I don't know.
So I've had to stop that shit.
Maybe I've never received flowers.
I was giving out too many flowers.
I have issues
I was just
with that.
giving out flowers left and right. Fine, wouldn't give one. So
buy me a burger, okay? Like a burger might be cool.
Joe, serious. And I want you to be honest about this. Yeah, erase everything we said.
I'm ready. I won't smile.
Do you like it when a lady gives you?
No, it actually makes me very uncomfortable. Makes me very uncomfortable.
Thank you.
And I tell people that I date to not give me a gift, and if you give me a gift, do not.
You guys, sometimes here's my offering. What am I going to get back for that? Now, hey, I know you look at these beautiful flowers. No, I think flowers, something like that on Valentine's Day, but my wife and I are not really big on Valentine's Day.
I hate Hallmark holidays.
I actually, with Valentine's Day being my birthday, I kind of like it only because.
See that?
Okay, so you're right before Pisces. Okay, all right.
I like stupid. I like that on my birthday, I still get somebody a present. Because it's Valentine's Day, like if I'm dating them. And then it just makes them like me more. Like, oh my gosh, you got me a present on your birthday. Yes. Happy Valentine's Day. You get to celebrate something too.
That whole gift giving thing always made me feel
I'd rather give a gift than receive one.
It's like, if you want to surprise me. Me too, though. Me too. I'm not good at receiving gifts. I say, I don't need anything. Like, just be nice to me. Like, that's all that I really require. It's not that hard. Sometimes people have surprised me with rocks or stones or things like that. I'm a hippie, right? So I'm those things those little sentimental things that are cool or guitar picks or things that mean something. A notebook, you know what I mean? Then I'd be like, oh. But flowers just seem so I didn't put much thought into this other than the fact that men buy women flowers.
No, but you go and you pick them out yourself and you make the bouquet yourself. I had to get you some flowers, Linzy.
I have issues with that. I think I've never really been given flowers, but I've also told people never to give me them. So I have an issue with that. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it comes from. Maybe it's girly. Flowers are very girly.
So the other thing is that with me and my ex-wife, I kept flowers in the house. So it didn't even matter whether she wanted them or not. When they died, and they got replaced because those are her flowers, So I think sometimes you had to get used to, I think one time, something happened with my mom and dad, holidays, and then she got a lot of fucking flowers in a span of 3 months because of just what she was doing with awards and then a birthday and a holiday. So then she got used to flowers. So then when the moment stopped of her being celebrated for no reason, she's like, where's my flowers at? Well, for 3 months, there'd been flowers on the table no matter who gave them to her. So it wasn't even like, yo, husband, where's my flowers? It's like, my house doesn't have flowers anymore. So I think also you kind of I got used to that, like, where are the flowers in the house, you know?
I think I just got used to not needing anything because I never really got like what I felt like I deserved or wanted. So I feel like I just was in this place
everything
of like,
else is some kind of consolation versus what you actually want.
It's like I just got used to not getting what I really wanted. So everything else just felt cheap. It's like, you know, don't be nice to me on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Be nice to me every day, you know? So it's like your flowers aren't going to really do anything for you here, you know? Maybe it's more of a deep-rooted issue. Like, why would I want flowers from someone who is, you know, only happy or nice
I guess it would depend on
sometimes,
who gave them to you as well. Yeah, that would make a difference.
But I never really got flowers from somebody that I didn't like marry or have an issue with. So
Anthony, you're not
maybe
a flower
there's that,
giver?
you know? I don't know.
You're not a flower giver? Like, what kind of romantic are you, Santa? I have a good vibe for Linzy, but like, you're so happy, but then you say like you're not into flowers. So, like, are you a mistletoe kind of guy? Of course, but like, yeah, like what?
You know, my wife and I like live flowers. Live
like gardens.
plants.
Okay. Okay.
Our
okay.
I mean, for me to go and get roses is, I think I've done it. Not much. Not much. You can hear it say it. Not much.
Not much.
But we like able to plant something and go, oh, we got that a couple of years ago, or look how it's growing.
This is more advice.
You
know, this is more advice from Santa.
You know,
more advice from Santa. Don't buy a woman flowers. Plant a garden with her. You know, so
I like that.
I just got
That's
more
really
mature
cool
by this conversation. We haven't talked about.
I can dig it,
and we've actually gone over this hour, but we haven't talked about your successes. No, I'm actually gonna blame Santa just because he's really in charge. So you know, it's his fault. You know, just like hierarchy and leadership. Yeah, you know, sorry.
It's your
Everybody
fault,
now is
Santa.
pointing out this on
it's
you,
your
bro.
fault.
But give us some quick successes. So I think that you've given us raw. You've told the entire world who Linzy is, but you know, what is the thing that you built in Linzy Taylor or at Linzy Taylor? These 2 million followers. Why do you have them? You're noticed in public as the internet mom who lets her kids draw on the walls. Like, give us the thing that you built for the public, and what's that about, and how, you know, give us some successes, and you know, like let's lighthearted. Let's make it real lighthearted at the end.
I don't know, Joe. I think that I've just always celebrated myself as being different, right? And doing things differently, parenting alternatively, oversharing, but also trying to put a comedic spin on it to let people know that like that stagnant sense of every day is exactly the same, robotic living, traditional lifestyles. You don't have to do any of that. You know, you can make this life what you want it to be. You know, I think I got to do that, right? I don't like that stuffy, stifling feeling of doing things the same way everybody else does, right? And I think that I built my following in my pajamas, not wearing makeup, just being a wackadoodle mom. But also, like, there's always some truth within the jokes. And I feel like people have been able to read between the lines and they see what I'm about. You know, and I think that raw authenticity at the end of the day is it's very freeing, and I think that's what people are gravitated towards, because you know they say to me, oh, I wish I could be more like that, or I wish I could stop caring about what other people think, or I wish I could just go for it like you're doing. And I'm like,
you have the ability. You might be better than me if you try.
Yeah. Just rip that Band-Aid off. Just be you, do you, and you know, screw what everybody else thinks. But I think success, that's like a personal achievement status bar you got to look at. You know, it's like I still don't feel like I have reached success yet. I feel like I'm still reaching. I feel like what I've built is beautiful, and I have a wonderful community, and I appreciate it very much. But I feel like I'm navigating into the comedy world, into the writing world, getting back into acting, you know, turning 40. So it's very interesting because I never meant to be a influencer, content creator. Like I didn't mean to, like I just posted videos, you know what I mean? Like that's the way I see it. I put my phone down and I'm just like everybody else. You know, I'm nobody special. You know, I'm just me. I'm just Lindsay, except I have my phone. My friend told me back home that it made sense that this is what I ended up doing, because back in the day, before cell phones, I was always running around with like little Sony Cybershot camera, like documenting everything, making little videos, making little pictures and stuff. So it was always very natural for me to click, share, talk, show, you know. But success is something I'm afraid of too, because I feel like once I hit it, I'm going to have to upkeep it. You know, like let's say I sell a screenplay tomorrow, because I've written 4 movies. Let's say I sell one, and then I'm like, crap, now I'm a screenwriter, and now I got to write for the rest of my life. You know, it's like I got to punch out another one, or I'm writing my book. So it's like, cool. After book 1, is there going to be a book 2? Is there going to be a book 25? You know, like am I setting myself up for the level of success that I can sustain? Can I keep it? Can I hold on to it? Is it going to fall? Is it going to be okay? You know, there's a lot of questions that come with this, but I think I made it abundantly clear that I'm not going anywhere, and that I'll always kind of do my own thing. And it's great to work for myself. I think that feels really great. I get to be my own boss, and nobody's telling me what to do or what not to do, because I hate that.
I used to be a great employee, but I know that I would be a terrible employee now. Right? Yeah, I would be a horrible employee. I would probably be telling the boss what to do.
I was a hard worker. Yeah, I was a hard worker, but like going backwards like that. I mean, I could if I had to, but like
there's some times
I don't think it would look good.
I had to,
you know,
I had to. You know, and I already can see like they're gonna fire you because it's not gonna work. Like your whole mindset is totally different now. You're calling everything BS. Like you're too into yourself, bro. You're gonna go get a job and get fired, and you know, just.
I feel like I need to make a video now and like share how I've quit jobs in the past, because that's.
See, like, I was never a person that would quit jobs. See, I've only had like maybe 7 of them. Really?
I was a job hopper. I kept a few for like years. Like I worked in the bar I worked in for like, 7 years. I did security for 10 years. But there was like, I always worked 2 or 3 jobs. I was always working. I always just, I never really wanted to go down the route that my mom did. So I was very headstrong about like providing and working. And there were some jobs that just didn't work out,
So.
And I always ended up being a supervisor.
They put you in charge of everybody else.
That pissed me off. It's always like, well, yeah, we'll give you $1 more, and if they call out, you got to show up. And I'm like, oh, I got the poops today. I can't come in. It's not gonna happen. You figure it out. It's not my business. I was a little bit of a jerk.
You said you hit on kind of being afraid of being successful, and I was thinking about asking you this question. As you were talking. So at the end of our last podcast with Danielle, Michael had the idea of having her ask the next person that we interview a question. She had no idea that it was actually supposed to be somebody else that next day, but Santa wasn't feeling good. So now this question goes to you. What is your biggest? What is your biggest?
It's superficial stuff. My biggest insecurity comes with aging. I think it comes with my. I feel like that I could answer that in 2 ways. I feel like number 1, this eye bag right here that hangs underneath my eye.
Only that one.
I feel like it's a sign
both
of.
Bother you or?
Yeah, I have. No, it's this one. I have one. Like right now, the lighting is so good that it's probably not sticking out as much as it is without the light. But my family has them, and they hang out.
So this isn't from like this isn't like from like no sleep.
It's like something I could have like tucked or whatever. It's a sign of like. I hope that not half of my life is over already. I fear that. Like I want to live and do so much. And then also I think to answer that in a non-superficial way, I think when it comes to my writing, especially writing my book, I think I worry that like people aren't going to want to hear what I have to say, and that like my voice.
And 2 million followers later, you don't think that people care about the things that you say?
I mean, I built it on jokes.
You're still talking, you know?
I mean, some of it wasn't, but I know. But I think when I'm vulnerable, I'm more, more insecure. So, and my book is not full of jokes. It's like my life story. It's like a memoir about breaking generational curses, and it's like an autobiographical tale. It'll be a vulnerable book. I mean, I'm sure I'll throw a few jokes in there, but what if nobody wants to read it? What if nobody cares? So then I have to say, well, who are you writing it for?
Yeah.
And I'm writing it for me. So I have, I got that internal push and pull. But I think I do worry. I think that's why I haven't put my scripts out there. I think that's why I haven't put my writing out there. I think that's why I threw words away. I think it's because I'm like, well,
I think
nobody wants to read
that would be a great
That's
poem.
trash.
I threw words away, and then you write a poem about all the words you've thrown away.
I threw thousands, 50,000 words, 45,000 words, 30-something thousand words, threw them away. Didn't like it. Nobody's going to read that.
So
delete. I'll write another
I get
one.
baffled when people like delete things.
What
Why?
I would recommend, Lindsay, what I would recommend is that you look at it, all this stuff that has gone on and been going on, and the mere fact of what you're telling yourself today, of what you're saying is this insecurity thing, is that you were meant for this time to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And go with confidence in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's those, I got a comment yesterday in my, I don't know if this is going to relate. I got a comment yesterday in my live, or no, it was this morning. I did a super early live for, anyway. And the comment was, I'm so afraid of what's going to happen tomorrow. Meaning, I didn't know how to read that. I had, and I hope that you can grab this a little bit, because it did for me, is that I didn't know if she was afraid that her car was going to get repoed. I didn't know if that, I just have this fear for tomorrow, but I just had this sense that something was on a date on the calendar that was going to be really bad. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, she could have also meant that in a general way too. Like I've always lived in constant fear, and I used to always say, "What if this happens? And what if this happens?"
You never know what tomorrow may bring.
Happen?
Like
the unknown is the worst for anxiety. It's the worst.
But but on the other hand, I was able to bring back a situation of my own that I thought is the most devastating, worst thing that could ever happen to me 12 years ago. Okay? The worst, this cannot be happening to me. No way. It wasn't a death. I mean, that's a whole different thing. This was a life situation. And that's what I think that she was talking about. A life situation is happening tomorrow. That's my sense. I don't know, first, a fact. But one thing that I thought that was going to be absolutely the worst thing that could ever happen to me is that I had a friend tell me, I think you should check out the Mission for a place to live. I was at that time in my life. I drank everything away. I have drank my family away. I drank my career or income away. I was homeless. I think you need to check out the Mission. That person wasn't seeing me live to my potential and said, I'm not helping you by you staying here. And what I thought was the worst led me into the biggest trajectory into the best life I could live. So that's what I hope you hear, Lindsay.
I hear you. Is
that what you may think is like, writing and maybe somebody not looking at it or doing that or not accepting you or not buying your script or buying your writings and all this stuff that's going on in your life right now, I truly believe is what's going to launch you into absolute. And tonight, folks, we welcome, and you have won the Oscar, Lindsay.
I love you, Santa. I just hope that
seriously.
Hope I keep writing and just, put myself out there, because I think that's what I need to do.
Yes. So don't think about what the worst thing could happen. You think about what's the best thing that could happen. And you focus.
Right.
On
got to manifest the good.
Once I was
Right.
at youth and I focused on other people in my life, and those people need to hear your voice, Lindsay. That's who you focus on. You get out of your own head, focus on who you're writing to. And you say you're writing to yourself, but you're not. You're wanting your
in a
voice
way, I definitely want to reach other women who, you know, obviously are trapped and can't find a way out as well.
You're going to have those awards. Speaking of awards, coming up April 20.
It's your choice. April, what is it? The 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. It's in there somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, mid April.
Yeah, you've already got practice. You've been nominated, and you're in.
I'm writing the award show.
Yeah, and
I'm
you're
writing
the
too,
award show. Oh my god!
With my friend Kelly G. Yeah,
play out right now in front of us, and you know, but we still get up in our head with all that nonsense. So stop it.
Yeah,
stop it.
Yeah. I know. I have to, or else, you will manifest the wrong thing. So by saying, what if it's not going to happen? What if it doesn't work? It manifests the wrong thing. You have to say, well, what if it's awesome?
Right.
What if it's freaking awesome?
How do people get a hold of you? How do they find you, Lindsay? There's people here that
right now.
You know, how do they find you? Where can they see your content?
In this moment, my TikTok is the Linzy Taylor. Instagram is it's Linzy Taylor. Linzy Taylor on YouTube and Facebook, but that might change. But yeah. You can always find me at beacons.ai/Linzy, LINZY. Wow. That'll be where all my stuff sits.
Right. And with that said, also, for those of you that got to watch this all the way through, can you please subscribe to our podcast, like our podcast, follow our podcast, make a comment in there. That all helps the algorithms. And
let Santa know what you love and what you don't love. Just leave him all sorts of comments. Just talk to Santa. He'll talk back.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Lindsay, for coming on and being so open and vulnerable and letting us pick you apart for a little while. You're such a...
Thanks for having me.